Right, so most of you guys liked that first episode, reception as well, and some of the criticisms I've taken. Hopefully, this is a bit better. To start off this segment, we're starting off the Thai Gulf War, a conflict which has been brewing with steady escalation between Thai and Vietnamese officials over the past 2 years, a buildup which has culminated in what is being dubbed the Thai Gulf War. With the global and regional focus being on the recovery of the Sino-Hindu War, it was surprising that conflict between the two nations was still seemingly inevitable. Though after the detainment and subsequent murder of Thai nationals in Vietnamese prisons, and repeated air violations by Vietnam, and the buildup of forces on the border, and finally the encroachment of the Vietnamese Navy into the Gulf of Thailand, Thai officials couldn't ignore the signs any longer. After the downing of a Vietnamese surveillance drone, Vietnamese armored divisions and special forces marched into Thailand, and their naval forces in the Gulf of Thailand fired upon the Royal Thai Navy. With advanced Thai artillery replacements trying to delay their advances, the Thai army rushed to get into position. During the initial phases of the combat, the Vietnamese Air Force dominated the skies, dealing great damage to the Thai border forces. On the ground offensive, one of the first bursts of conflict started in the Battle of Nong Bua. Sorry, don't know how to say that, but Nong Bua Lam Phu. Supported by Su-30 Mark IIBs, Vietnamese Special Forces and the 406th Tank Brigade moved into Thailand, engaging and dealing larger damage to Thai border forces and their artillery batteries. The local forces were able to hold out until the 21st Armored Regiment of the Thai 6th Infantry Division and the 3rd Cavalry Division's 6th and 7th Armored Brigades arrived to help secure defense and victory for the Thai forces, even though it was at the cost of a large amount of Thai lives. Further south, at the Battle of Uban Ratchathani, the 206th Tank Brigade and the 574th Tank Brigade marched into the city supported by attack helicopters and special forces, which of those forces attempted to cut off reinforcements marching towards the city, but were defeated by a quick counterattack by Thai armed forces. After this offensive failed at this city, and after the destruction of the Vietnamese Navy, Vietnamese forces pulled back, and there was a call for a ceasefire, with both nations focusing on repairs. Moving westward to Operation Crescent Strike. While the West was distracted with Operation Epic Fury and the East distracted by the EDA files, Pakistan took the opportunity to finally gain control over the Indian-controlled areas of Kashmir and the major city of Jammu in a swift operation dubbed Operation Crescent Strike. The interim martial government of India had been focused on quelling protests and securing the eastern portions of the country, as well as having to manage the fallout of the Sino-Hindu War. The pitiful garrison force that was stationed at Jammu was quickly overwhelmed in hours, largely helpless against the full strength and rested Pakistani forces. There are whispers from the government alleging dialogue between Islamabad and Beijing surrounding non-exact permission, but indirect support, and an unofficial agreement stating that Chinese officials would back Pakistan regarding any unfair resolutions being put up towards it, though that is not globally known. After Operation Crescent Strike ended, and after asserting its, authority over Afghanistan and India, Pakistan has proclaimed itself as the dominant force in Central Asia, even though the India that it fought was severely weakened and crippled. Continuing the trend of being in South Asia, now Southwest Asia, Operation Epic Fury Part 2. Airstrikes have officially begun after the coalition forces' demands were not met, with American and Israeli stealth craft striking many key targets within the Islamic Republic, following multiple sets of launches of ballistic missiles onto Israeli cities and American air bases in the region. Ayatollah Mohammed Mirbagheri was confirmed by President J.D. Vance and the IRGC to have been killed in the operation. It currently appears the Israeli and American forces have concluded operations in the region, seemingly achieving all goals of the operation, though at a steep cost, with multiple F-35s and B-2s being downed by Iranian air defense missile batteries. Other than these losses, the world is feeling the consequences of the conflict, with Iran holding the Hormuz Strait hostage, putting pressure on the global energy market. While in the country of Iran, infrastructure has been decimated, with partisan groups beginning to organize and trying to fill the void that was left in the wake of the destruction left by the annihilation of the standing Iranian government. Now moving to Europe. Austria has been shifting its identity and politics, possibly moving towards ending the EDA hegemony that has allowed the access of airspace and sometimes movement of ground troops within the EDA, with some reactionary leaders rumored to be saying in meetings that Austria needs to reaffirm its neutrality to avoid a larger conflict with the East, mainly regarding Serbia and Belarus, regardless of what history has shown about neutral countries in the past. Serbia and Belarus have been militarizing their nations and preparing for a conflict with the EDA in light of their plans being leaked. Both of their nations' governments have shown more enthusiasm towards signing the Slavic Union agreement as well. These moves would further cement the grasp that Russia has on their nations, and with the impending threat of bombing by coalition forces by Poland, Germany, and France, the Serbian government is rallying its citizens to prepare to fight. Moving north, Norway is continuing the expansion of its armed forces and finalizing deals around arms sales, and is discussing economic and defense agreements with Chile and Finland respectively. While the meeting with Chile is ongoing, the meeting with the Finnish officials has yet to begin, though it is stated to occur in northern Norway near the border, where the Norwegian Ranger Battalion is located. Britain has also been invited in an observatory role to attend the meeting. Finland is also helping in the production of the latest British ballistic missile platform, the NSTMS, which is hoped by the United Kingdom to help bridge any gaps in British missile capabilities, whether conventional, nuclear, or chemical. Moving south, Greece, in response to the breakdown of relations with Serbia, has frozen investment aid to the nation, citing aiding the Russians in and also themselves breaking UN sanctions on Libya and facilitating Russian strikes on the joint EDA base located within Greece. Italy is tightening its energy restrictions in light of the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, citing concerns of harm to domestic businesses regarding storage and current import agreements, mainly with Saudi Arabia and Iraq, who are largely affected by the closings. In Spain, Felix Bolaños wins the Spanish presidential elections to continue serving as the reigning president of Spain, holding a majority stake in parliament. France has been discussing expanding its nuclear umbrella to Romania and its potential consequences, while calling out the Russian Federation and the delaying of talks between the European Defense Agreement and Slavic representatives, with German officials also making a statement regarding the slow progress of the meeting and also announcing the extension of Operation Sentinel Europe. In the Middle East, Syria continues to attempt to bring stability to all corners of the country with the paramilitary reorganization efforts, which has culminated with attacking Hezbollah forces in light of Operation Epic Fury. It is unsure of the forces that are being used, how long the operations will last, or how successful operations have been since they started. Hezbollah has condemned attacks on Iran and has sworn to get revenge against Western American and Israeli aggressors. Not much more has been added. Moving a bit more east, Afghanistan civil war is heating back up, with the Pashtun Shinwari tribe backed by Pakistan, the Hazara Resistance Council, which is loosely backed by the crumbling Iranian government, and the Taliban, alongside many of its regional tribes. Most of these groups are expected to work together against the Taliban and bringing down their harsh rule, but they have many goals post-war, from how the country should be ruled all the way up to gaining independence and breaking off from the main country. Moving to East Asia, North Korea has stated its intentions to strengthen relations with China to help aid and do efforts with the recovery, mainly in Harbin with Seaburn, and they hope to continue good relations with the new administration that's currently in charge of China. The Burmese Ministry of Defense gathered its highest-ranking military officials and has reinforced the idea that the military will remain the principal focus of the Burmese government, even going as far as threatening to develop intercontinental ballistic missiles. India has also completed efforts that have gotten them to control the majority of the nation, and they have begun rebuilding and doing humanitarian efforts on their nation. Rumors are going around that the Filipino Communist Party has reached out to Beijing asking for military and economic aid in the attempt to overthrow the standing Filipino government. As conflict grows in the southern Philippines and seemingly more support going towards the insurgent Communist Party, it is inevitable that there is a high chance that this could escalate into a serious matter. While this is happening in the south and in Beijing, the president and her cabinet, mainly composed of the defense secretary and the general staff, have been meeting to discuss the growing foothold that the communists have had in the south, with President Maladi worrying about the short-term effects it is having on the economy, with all of their options seemingly pitting towards the invocation of Article 5 of the Pacific Mutual Defense Accords, though this could possibly set a precedent for future foreign interventions. RIP South Korea. Japan seems optimistic for relation building with the new Chinese administration, hoping it to have a more cooperative vision in the international community, while showing hesitance towards establishing relations with the Indian martial government after its use of nuclear and chemical weapons on Asian states. A treaty has also been signed between Japan and the United Kingdom regarding the supply chain of microchips. With the supply chain that the United Kingdom has become accustomed to via China being heavily disrupted, it is hoped that Japan will help fill that role. There have also been talks within the Japanese government of sending Japanese forces to help intervene in the Filipino insurgency, using the Pacific Alliance as legal basis to intervene. China has condemned U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran and calls for restraints surrounding the Strait of Hormuz and its blockade, citing global energy costs rising. Moving towards Africa, the Libyan civil war has picked up again with the closing of its airspace and calls for help from the UN. Russian and Serbian arms have been trafficked into the conflict with the deployment of Turkish naval forces led by the TCG Erdogan, which have been gathering intelligence and conducting operations with the intention of reducing LNA naval presence in the region. Turkey has also protested Greek oil mining in contested waters surrounding Crete, While they have not started off with military actions, they have certainly not ruled out the use of military forces to maintain or to prevent Greece from going into potentially contested waters. The Ethiopian government has come into an agreement regarding the sale of S-300 surface-to-air missiles and an official deal regarding grain imports from Ukraine to Ethiopia. While this has been occurring, the Somali faction, which controls nearly a third of the nation, has been increasing its hold on the Gulf of Aden, recently taking control of an Israeli cargo ship with various European citizens aboard, which has gathered the attention of the U.S. U.S. 12th Carrier Strike Group, led by the USS Gerald R. Ford, which it hopes to deter piracy and send a message to Somali forces. While not much effort has been made by the Ethiopian government in getting control of the nation, Chinese and Ethiopian forces conducted strikes against the Djibouti separatists to free Chinese prisoners of war that were overwhelmed around the time of the Sino-Hindu War, which these forces were spearheaded by the Chinese 7th Marine Brigade. Egypt has recently announced increased patrols in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden following the news of increased piracy and the seizure of vessels by Somali separatists. There have also been talks with the Egyptian government concerning the purchase of corvettes from the British Navy. And in the Americas, Conservative President Tomas Vanovic has won the Chilean elections, beating out his communist opponent, Jeanette Jara, based on a platform of digitization of Chile, making the nation safer by combating cartels and cutting red tape to encourage business growth in Chile to stimulate the economy. I'm sorry it took so long. Sort of had to deal with some stuff. R.I.P. my dog. She was a good girl. But thanks. Hope you enjoyed this. Catch y'all later.